Hello and welcome to this video on using a least squares regression line to model a relationship between two numerical variables. Yay! My name's Darren from Maths Guru. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you are going to find this video useful. It's massively important for the Year 12 General Maths course. Before I get into this, you can do me the honour of subscribing to my YouTube channel. That'd be great. It just lets me know that people are watching. I don't get too much feedback with regard to these videos, so maybe they're really bad. Oh my God, I haven't even thought about that. But anyway, I'm on TikTok and all those other things as well. So if you can follow me, that would be great. What are we going to do in this video? Interpret the intercept and slope of a least squares line. Be able to use the equation of a least squares line to make predictions. I already did a bit of that in my previous video. To be able to use coefficient of determination in a regression analysis. Do you understand what the coefficient of determination is? What does it mean? Can we write about it? And realistically now, this is really preparing you for forthcoming SACs, where I'm sure this is going to be a significant component. Be able to use a residual plot to investigate the linearity assumption and be able to report a regression analysis, right? So when it says there report, maths, or at least general maths, is about writing stuff down. A lot of the VCE exam at the end of the year requires you to write down sentences and actually understand what you're doing. So hopefully this video will help. Now in the previous lesson we looked at how we can use by hand and the CAS to find the least squares regression line, right? And again from the previous lesson we found out that generally speaking lines have the equation y equals a plus bx, where b is given by r, sy on sx, and a is given by y bar minus b times x bar, and all that information is given in a table, or you may have to work it out. Now obviously that's horrible if you've got to work it out by hand, but the good news is your CAS can work it out for you. But you have to be very careful that you don't write the y and the x, you actually write the EV and RV. Now if none of that made any sense, there is that video to go and watch. Sign up to mathsguru.com. It's absolutely free. You can watch videos, download lesson notes, anything I write behind me, you can download and scribble all over, put in your summary book, whatever is helpful. Now here we go. So what I'm going to do is actually work through an example of a regression analysis. One of the most important sections in this is probably this section here, okay, that tells you how to effectively perform a regression analysis. So I'm going to construct I'm going to construct a scatter plot. I'm going to do the coefficient, correlation coefficient. I'm going to determine equations of regression lines. I'm going to interpret the coefficients. All of this is really important. As I say, this is exactly what you'll be expected to do in some part of your SAC. Some of you may be, this is your whole SAC. But let's look at some data that we've been given. All right, so the age in years and price in dollars of a selection of second-hand cars of the same brand and model have been collected and are recorded as shown in the table. Now obviously the only reason that their table is split into three sections is just to fit it on the screen, okay? So we've got age in years and the price. We're going to do some sort of regression analysis. We're going to look at what we can actually do. So the first thing we're going to do, all right, is I'm going to do a scatter plot of my data. Now to be able to do that, what have I got to do? I've actually got to put my data in my calculator. So let's bring up my TI Inspire and I'm going to go and put a list and spreadsheet. Now obviously the ClassPad is very similar for this type of stuff. So again, if you want to play along, I'm actually using the example from the Cambridge textbooks. If you have the Cambridge textbook, by all means you can put them in. But age 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, and 8. Right, 15. Were there 15 data items? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 15 data items. So the chances I've got that right, and I always do that check. Right, now I'm going to put the prices in. Okay, so the good news is that all seems to match up. 4,200. I'm just going to turn my calculator off for a second. 8,500, 6,400, 6,500. Yep. So all my data's in, and it seems to work out. So how do I draw a scatter plot? Well, again, I'm just going to go Control, add a list and spreadsheet. No, I'm not. I'm going to doc. I'm going to add data and statistics. So what have we got here? So what goes along the bottom? So age goes along the bottom, and price is going to go up the side, and that makes sense, right? So my data is actually sloping down, which seems to suggest that as the age of the car increases, it gets less and less. And there we go. So having done that on my calculator, we can see that I've got my scatter plot. Lovely. There is some sort of linear relationship, and that's important that we're looking and making sure that my data doesn't have any obvious curves. Because if it has an obvious curve, I can't do a regression analysis. Now, calculate the correlation coefficient. How am I going to calculate the correlation coefficient? I can use my CAS again. Now, There are lots of ways of doing this. I'm going to show you another way a bit later on. I'm going to get rid of this middle screen here because that's going to annoy me by doing control and the up arrow, and then I can just hit delete. Try again, control and the up arrow, and then hit delete. And let's go back to that screen there. Now again, if I want to do some sort of analysis, I'm going to go menu, statistics, stat calculations, and I'm going to do a linear regression. What is on my X? It was age. My Y was price. Click on OK, and then let's see where all that data has gone. It's all gone here. So what did I want? I wanted my correlation coefficient. Well, that's my value of R. Well, there we go. So in which case, I now know my value of R is equal to, what should we write it to? I'm going to write it to 3 decimal places, minus 0.964. Now, again, a lot of people go, well, why am I working out the value of R? Because that then lets us talk about the strength of my distribution, all right? So again, we need to now talk about the strength of my relationship. And if you remember, we would look up what that value fit in that table that we've dealt with previously, and in which case I would say this is as a strong negative association. So a strong negative association. I'd probably not put the word linear in there because sometimes we try and trick you, but anyway, strong negative association. Right, we've done that. We've got to find the equation of the regression line. Well, from the screen that I already had up a moment ago, if we scroll up, we've got our values of A and B. So I actually can there turn around and say, oh, well, I can write my regression line by saying, and I'll just turn that off here, that my Y equals, no, we do not write Y equals, what's on my Y axis? It's price, is going to be equal to my value of A, 35134, minus 3935, and again I can't see all of the data at this moment in time, so minus 3945, that's perfect, it's going to round to whole numbers anyway, times my age. So again, understanding what that means, basically here is my gradient. So for every 1 year my age goes up, my car is going to lose $3,935, and on average, when my age of my car was 0, or the age of the cars was 0, they cost on average $35,134, and we've got to interpret those. All right, so again, it's important that we're going to have to interpret those. Find the equation of the least squares line. Well, obviously it can be done at using the CAS. So if I fire up my CAS again and go back to my graph, there's my graph. I can go menu, analyze, residual, show linear A plus BX. And there we go, we've got my A plus BX again. The Y and the X there is a bit confusing. You've got to make sure you don't write Y equals, and make sure you write that as price and age. But it pretty much matches what we got before. Ka-ching. Now all I'm doing is working through bit by bit by bit. You're going to have to interpret the coefficients. Now what I mean by that, you have got to write down the values of A and B in a sentence that makes sense, all right? So you've got to write down and explain what that A means and explain what the B means, or explain what the intercept means and the slope. And here is boilerplate code. Now anything that I have done in red, you would swap out for your example. So whatever question you do, you would swap out. But you always say, the slope of the regression line predicts that on average. That is always there. The slope of the regression line predicts that on average. The price, because we're dealing with price. So in that situation, it is the RV of these second-hand cars, all right? So you've got to put in what the actual context is, decreases by, because it's sloping down, $3,940. That dollar sign should be in red, because if you don't put units in there, you actually don't get the marks. VCAR won't give you the marks if you miss the dollars. Each year, again, units. Because we are dealing with age in years, it has to have the units there. So that's the slope. The slope of the regression line predicts that on average, got to write that, the price of the second-hand cars decreases by $3,940 each year. Okay, now the intercept predicts that. So now we're going to talk about the intercept. And again, it is very standard. The intercept predicts that on average. The price, again, you would change this, of these cars when new, because age we can talk about new, was 35,100. Now the data here has been rounded to, what is it, 3 significant figures. Again, that's going to be given in the question. Calculating and interpreting the coefficient of determination. All right, so now what is the coefficient of determination? Well, we've worked out previously that we know that the coefficient of determination is the value of r squared. Well, from our table, we already had the value of r. And what you notice is we can either square it on my calculator, or if you've used the right thing, it'll actually also give you the value of r squared. So in that situation, my value of r squared is 0.92979 ... Now obviously in this situation we want it as a percentage, yes? So we have to then multiply that by 100. So r squared is going to be 92.98%. If they wanted me to do it in whole numbers, we would do it in whole numbers. Now, once we know that, we've got to write it in a worded way. And so, again, this blue section here says, the coefficient of determination indicates that, again, boilerplate. The bit that you have to change is the 93%. So in that situation, if you had 64%, the coefficient of determination indicates that 93% of the variation in the price, again, that you would change to your RV of these second-hand cars, is explained by the variation in their age. So the only 3 things you need to change there, realistically speaking, is the context of the question, the percentage, and the 2 EV and RV words that have been used. Making predictions. The whole point of doing this is to then make predictions. They may ask you to make predictions. So using the formula that they've got, that price is $35,100 minus $3,940 times the age. The question then will say, well, for example, how much would a car be worth if the age is, I don't know, 3.5 years. So if we have our age is equal to 3.5, then we can use this formula here and just substitute in 3.5. So the price is equal to 35,100 minus 3,940 times the age of 3.5. Ka-ching. Put that into your calculator, out comes the information. Now, it is very important to notice that there is something in maths called extrapolation and interpolation. Now, interpolation means that we will be putting a value into our formula that falls within the values that they gave us. So if you notice the bottom of my graph there, or the data values went between 1 and 8. So any data value between 1 and 8 that we put into that equation, we're fairly happy that we can use to predict. Values outside of that, so values less than 1 or greater than 9, we have an issue. They're called, in that situation, it's called extrapolating my data. Why? We don't know what's going to happen to my equation after that. We don't know whether that line holds true. So although that straight line seems to slope down, he says drawing it for the camera, outside of 8 years, if I put 9 years in there, it might not work. 10 years, it might not work. 11 years, it might not work. So we have to be careful that we understand that when we are putting data in, we are fairly happy with our equation if it's between the x values that we've got, the smallest x value and the largest x value, but we're not very happy if it falls outside of that. A residual. Now we've talked about residuals before, yeah? A residual is the difference between the actual data item, so these here will be actual data items, and the point on the residual. Now in this situation, when I have a residual plot, that line there is actually my line, my least squares regression line. So it's just a different way of drawing the graph, but by showing the difference between each of the points above and below that line. Now, if a point is above the line, it has a positive residual. If it's below the line, it has a negative residual. Now, a positive residual basically means that the prediction is underestimating, right? So in this situation, our actual data point was here. Our prediction was here. So for this point here, our prediction would have been an underestimate. Whereas this point here, Our prediction would be an overestimate because our prediction would be here, our actual data item was here. There is a massive difference between the two. So understanding underestimates and overestimates is also really important. As I say, the CAS can show residuals. So if I've got my graph here, I go menu, analyze, residuals, and it says show a residual plot. And there we go, that just shows a residual plot. Now the reason we have the residual plot is also to test for linearity. So our residuals help us test for linearity, and that's an important expression. What it means is there a pattern to our data? If this here has an obvious pattern, and generally speaking, it will either curve that way or it will curve that way. If there is an obvious pattern, then the data is not linear, it's counterintuitive. Here, there is no obvious pattern to my data. If there is no obvious pattern to my data, then it means it is linear, or the data is more than likely linear. All right, so as I say, we've got my residuals, assumption of linearity. If it's completely random, we assume the data is linear. Now, obviously, once we've done all that, we have to write a report to put it all together. And this is an example of writing a report. This is where we put words and the maths what we've got. So from the scatter plot, we see that there is a strong negative linear association. Now, I'm happy to write linear there now because we've done the assumption of linearity between the price of the second-hand car and its age. And whenever you talk about statistics, you have to put in the value. So the reason we know it's strong negative linear is because of that R value there. Then we have to say there are no obvious outliers. Going back to that data, there were no obvious outliers. So again, if we look at the top graph there, there's no data item massively above or below that line. Then we move on and say, well, the equation of the least squares regression line is, so we actually write the equation of the least squares regression line using whatever rounding they wanted and making sure we don't write y and x. The slope of the regression line predicts that on average the price of these second-hand cars decreased by $3,940 each year. So again, that was interpreting the slope. The intercept predicts that on average the price of these cars when new was $35,100. We have interpreted my intercept. Now in many cases you'll then need to go on and talk about the reasonableness. In this situation it was reasonable that our new car could be on average 35,100. But what about if I did height and age, for example, and an age of 0 gave me a height of minus 300 centimeters? That doesn't make any sense, all right? So in that situation, the intercept doesn't make any sense. It's not reasonable that an age of 0 would have a height of minus 300 centimeters. Moving on, we talked about the coefficient of determination. The coefficient of determination indicates that 93% of the variation in the price of these second-hand cars is explained by the variation in their age, right? So we've talked about it, we've got the relevant statistics in. And the lack of a clear pattern in the residual plot confirms the assumption of a linear association between the price and the age of the second-hand cars. Again, every single time we're using the RV and the EV, we're putting in statistics. On top of this, if you were doing a SAC or an exam, you would undoubtedly have predicted some values as well and talked about interpolation and extrapolation. But believe it or not, that's the end of this video. Hopefully it's been useful. If it has, put it in your summary book. Go to mathsguru.com, download the summary notes, do what you need to do, and absolutely smash this when it comes to your SACs and your exams. There are other videos in this series. Hopefully I'll see you in one of those. If not, please take care and stay safe.